Good evening and welcome to Something to Talk About. I hope you're having a wonderful evening. Tonight, we've got a whole different conversation. We're going to be talking to a young up-and-coming, I think a up-and-coming Renaissance Chamorro man. I'm not sure he'll like that title, but I'm giving it to him anyway. We're going to be talking about a Chamorro immersion program, something that is, I think, part of what Guam is going through now. Part of our language, part of our culture. We'll be talking to Kenneth Cooper. He's a Goffigan, but he's Kenneth Goffigan Cooper, and he's here tonight, and we'll talk to him about adventures in Chamorro, our culture and our language. Come on back. Welcome to Something to Talk About. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're in this lovely venue that is King's. We have a wonderful fruit platter as usual. We got a Sprunch, we got a Sprite, and we got Kenneth Goffigan Cooper, who is joining us tonight. I think this is your first interview ever in your life? You've been wanted before.
Here, yes.
Here. Here, otherwise where? I mean, Hollywood? No.
Oh, just Hawaii.
In Hawaii.
Yeah,
okay, let's start. Actually, I'm going to start further back than Hawaii.
Okay, okay.
Because I knew this kid when he was a kid over at St. Anthony School. Your mother is a teacher.
Yes.
Hello, Mrs. Goffigan. Everybody knows her as that. Miss Cooper, I'm sorry. She's a teacher at St. Anthony School. You were one of the snotty-nosed kids that was running around. What years were you at St. Anthony?
I graduated from there in 2004.
Okay, see, yeah. So you're a baby. And I was, my daughter Tia went to the school, and my son Sean, and so I used to see you running around. And then you got to 8th grade. Here's the funny thing. And then you got to 8th grade, and I saw you on a stage at a talent show at the end of the year, and you were like head banging.
Yeah.
You were head banging. That was all part of the process of growing up, for sure.
Transformational experience.
Transformational experience. And I know your mother must have been cringing, happy.
Well, let's go with cringing.
Cringing?
Cringing will probably be the best adjective.
Okay, so she was, well, but that was all part of the transformation. That's all part of you. I mean, it's not a transformation because you're still.
I still do that today.
You still do that too. Okay, now you left and went to what school after St. Anthony? Where did you graduate from?
I went to FD, graduated in 2008, then UOG. Did my bachelor's there, and then just finished my master's at UH Manoa.
See, now who would have thought? Honestly, you disappeared for a few years. I didn't know where you went, and then you resurfaced. Honestly, to me, you just resurfaced last week when the story was done about a UC Berkeley program about language immersion, and then I went, wait a minute, Kenneth Cooper is what? He's a teacher? What happened to all of that time? Honestly, I'm very proud of you. I'm not going to say you've come a long way because I don't think that there's been any real departure from your whole personality. Did you know this is where you were going? How did the whole Chamorro thing come out in you?
Growing up, I used to deny that I was Chamorro. Goffigan was a part of my name, but I always used to be like, I'm a German, my father's half German. So I really, I denied a lot of it because I always felt kind of marginalized from my more Chamorro cousins. And, so I was really just...
Oh, you mean that they reacted to you differently because you weren't full?
No, I felt I was like the nerd reading books where all my Chamorro cousins were like playing baseball and softball.
Yeah.
So
I wish I could relate to that, but I have no idea what you're talking about.
So that's how it was. I simply, and then I reached college. I just wanted to go to med school. I was on that track for a while, and then there was this one transformational semester. I took 3 classes at UOG, the University of Guam. I had 3 professors, that kind of completely changed my life.
Who are they? Let's name them.
Dr. Michael Ellert, Dr. Michael Lujan Bavacqua, and Dr. Ann Hattori.
Okay.
Absolutely transformational professors.
Good company. That's good company.
And so, there's one day when they were sitting around and just talking about all the history of land dispossession in Guam, etc. And I was kind of like, here we go again. Guam history class, when is it over? All these different classes. And then it was kind of like this awakening. It was this true awakening of like, our people have gone through so much, and yet we're still here. And yet, a lot of us kind of don't know that history. So for me, it was absolutely transformational, learning the history of our people, knowing that there are a lot of things from 4000 BC that still exist to this day, in some of the words that we use and our values. And so it was in that moment when I just kind of grabbed that Chamorro part of me and embraced it again. And, it was very transformational. It broke me down. There were moments when I would just cry thinking about the wasted years of not embracing who I was as a Chamorro.
You had that introspection where you were crying about denying your heritage.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Why did that mean so much to you? Why was it that it was such a big deal?
Personally, and this is from personal, I think it dealt with in 2010 is when I took these classes, the huge hype at the time was the military buildup. And everyone would talk about the military buildup, and I remember having to, do some research about it. And so what happened is I realized that the military buildup is just a continued aspect of the sort of things that have been happening since the arrival of the Spanish. And that is that Chamorros have really had to fight off oppressors. And whether or not you're going to call the military an oppressor, that's your personal political belief. But to me, it just seemed like the patterns kept repeating, and yet, where are the spirits of the Chamorros who fought in 1671 versus the Spanish? Where has that spirit of resistance and let's take care of our land, let's take care of our culture, let's take care of our language, where is that spirit gone? And in that transformational semester in summer, that spirit was just totally awakened in me. I think it's sleeping in all of us. I don't think it is absent from any of us. I just think it's sleeping. So it's just, what does it take to tap it on the shoulder and awaken the sleeping giant of the Chamorro people?
So what's your view? What's your view now? Where has that transformation brought you?
My overall view is, I'm definitely for. I like to say, there's one word. Nalatla means to give life in Chamorro. So Ninatlatla would be the process of giving life. I use that as my overall philosophy in regards to my view of things. So is there something that's going on that will destroy the land and not give life to the land? Well, then maybe we should take a step back, right, and realize that's maybe not a good thing for us. There are a lot of detractors who will say that the economy is the greatest issue of all. Well, let's look at land, let's look at language, let's look at, what jobs are being offered. If we're talking to the buildup, if we're talking about other aspects in regards to, land dispossession, language loss, all these things are not Ninatlatla. They're not the process of giving life. In fact, they're the process of taking life. So
can Linalao be updated? Can it be restored and rejuvenated with an entirely different perspective?
I believe so. I think if we do not believe so, it will never happen.
Okay, I want to get political in the conversation because we could go on and on and on. But isn't it that we are where we are, and we have an opportunity to hold on to what we have, and I don't believe that we can rewind and take everything back.
Oh, no.
Because we are already moving in a forward momentum to wherever the leaders of our island, to wherever our destiny is taking us. And it's up to people like you, yourself, and those who want to see, a better respect or a greater understanding of where we came from. It needs to mesh into what's already happening.
Oh, I could not agree more. So, number one misconception is that a revitalization of Chamorro necessitates rewinding to the past. There are a lot of conversations, grass skirts, electricity, these sort of things. Reviving the Chamorro spirit does not necessitate that.
Okay, we're not talking about going back and going back in progress.
Absolutely not.
And I think you're right. I think there is a misunderstanding, and I think it is in part in the communication. If you go rah, 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 and then you have a bunch of people following the rah, 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 you forget what you're rah, rah, rahing about.
Always know what you're fighting for, and also be realistic in why you're fighting for something, and be realistic into what goals and what steps can be taken to achieve that goal. And so that's why, to anybody, I always say that, the biggest things that you can do are actually small steps sometimes, because it's through the small steps that you build this pavement so that our descendants and the generations after us can continue to climb.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you know what I really am excited about is people like you, because you're of that generation, and people. I always say, Guam is in a renaissance. This is we are changing out so many things about our culture, our customs, our language, and when you come upon young generations of intelligent, educated people with passion, I think that it sends a different message. There's a willingness to try to bridge some of these perspectives together to make things happen. The language thing, I think, is very important. I think that's like one of the things we need to fetch.
Oh, absolutely.
The language, if we can't grasp that. Okay, so when we come back, we're going to take a break in a second here, but when we come back, I think that when I was living in Hawaii for all of those years, I felt a great connection to that culture. And I think that a lot of people who have ever lived in Hawaii, especially during the time that you and I had spent going to school there and living there, that there was a definite connection to the people. And
Absolutely.
I want people to feel that connection here. And I think that you also, and Dr. Bavakwa and Dr. Ann Hattori are all looking for us to grasp that. And I'm going
Absolutely.
to ask you how we're going to do that.
no problem.
He's an elementary school teacher as well, teaching Chamorro, a young whippersnapper. It's very impressive. We're going to take a break. Kenneth Goffigan Cooper is our guest. Come on back. We're something to talk about. Actually, you can't not get political.
Okay.
Because that's the way things started. Welcome back to Something to Talk About. Hope you're having a great evening. We are at King's Restaurant in Tamuning, and our guest tonight is Kenneth Cooper, half German. Your dad was half German.
My dad.
Your dad's your mother's Chamorro. Okay, Goffigan family. His mother is Eileen Goffigan. She teaches at St. Anthony. Come on, you have to tell everybody you're
She's
free.
vice principal at Agana Heights now.
Oh, she's not at St. Anthony.
No, not anymore.
Oh, gosh, Agana Heights is a good school.
Yeah, she's.
And you're actually at a really good school, too.
Yes.
LBJ and Tamuning L are good schools.
They are.
Right?
Very good
And you
schools.
teach Chamorro there? Mm-hmm. Is it easier to teach Chamorro to smaller kids like that? To the younger kids?
It's different. It's very different. Out in Hawaii, myself along with the Brant Song Song, we were teaching adults Chamorro. And, I got very comfortable with that. So
You were teaching adults Chamorro? Like
Out in
Chamorros
Hawaii.
who wanted to speak Chamorro, or Hawaiians who wanted to speak?
Chamorros in Hawaii, some who moved to Hawaii, some who were born and raised in Hawaii, who wanted to learn how to speak Chamorro. Brant Song Song from Rhoda and he's a UH professor over there for Chamorro. We got together and we started just this Saturday informal classes.
Wow, how cool. Are you fluent?
Ooh, it depends on your level, what your definition of fluency is.
Okay, okay. Well, are you a go-to guy? Bavakwa's a go-to guy for me.
Yes.
Are you a go-to guy?
Well, maybe
Almost there?
not as good as Bavakwa for sure.
Okay, all right.
He's actually my mentor, so
Yeah.
I could never actually say that.
Yeah, you don't want to get involved in that. So the cool thing is that you lived in Hawaii, and we were just talking about before the break that I think there was a great realization, at least for me, having been in the military. My father was in the military, and I never spoke the language, and I only understood it based on what my parents were either arguing or saying, in the privacy of our own home. But other than that, it was a non-existent language, except for when I was around it. So I didn't have the benefit of learning, just like we always say, the commands and whatever's going to keep you alive.
Yes.
But in Hawaii, because they have and are still going through, at a time it was an identity crisis, but now it's a very clear picture of what is happening in that
Absolutely.
culture, and they're spreading it like wildfire, and they're coming in droves, and it's pretty big and bad the way that bad in a
yeah.
good way, bad in a really cool way. But so you had that experience. Did that awaken you as well?
Well, there was an additional awakening experience I had in Hawaii, but that spirit of that you felt in Hawaii, that I also felt. I experienced that here first because of the people that I was surrounded with. I was just surrounded with
Yeah.
people who were really dedicated to learning the language, to perpetuating the culture. You know, not just preserving, but perpetuating. Not just preserving, but revitalizing, right? So they had a very forward-thinking mind about thinking about what are we going to teach our children, you know, not just preserving, because preserving has a very museum-y feel to it, right? We're going
Yeah.
to preserve the language. Well,
Yeah.
you're going to keep it in a box. What are you going to do? No, we need to throw the language to every single social realm possible. You know, so, you know, Dr. Maget Bavako and I always talk about we need to create Chamorro, you know, talk about anime in Chamorro. Heck, write the first Chamorro erotic novel. Write a
People
horror
learn how to
movie.
speak Chamorro real quick with that. Yeah.
write
It's
a
like
write a horror
50
movie.
Shades
in
of Grey.
Chamorro. Exactly.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
the point is simply to make the language known as an everyday experience, not just as something that's in the schools, something that you know have at church, but every day.
How do you do that though? Okay, there's a model that
Mm-hmm.
you're following from UC Berkeley. The model for the immersion program that started at UC Berkeley that you're talking that was invented there was
Sure.
of what language were
Okay,
they basing it,
was
on?
various. So it was actually by this Advocates for Indigenous California Language Survival. That was the organization that started it. but they
Indigenous
were-
California language survival?
California Indigenous Language Survival. One of
Like
the two.
Valley Girl talk? Or no, I'm kidding. What's
So,
an
like-
indigenous California
So
language?
a lot of the Native American tribes who live in California, who
Okay.
are indigenous to the land there, they teamed up with a UC Berkeley linguist named Leanne Hinton, and this other guy who they had a conversation. They had a conference, Julian Lang, and they teamed up with this, like I said, a Berkeley linguist. And so they all coordinated together, and through that organization, they created the Master Apprentice Program. And so the Master Apprentice Program has been really successful in California, in in other states or lands with indigenous communities. Hawaii has used some of that pedagogical approach. Australia, some of the indigenous tribes have used this approach. So we want to bring it to Guam.
How do you do that? It's an immersion program.
It is
It's-
a very interesting way. It's a very interesting approach. So what we're doing necessarily is it is a one-on-one immersion program. And so you pair up a master and an apprentice. So the only qualification that we have for a master is that they speak the language fluently. Apprentice is usually somebody who's really dedicated to wanting to learn the language. And so you put them in a scenario where for a year, and hopefully up to 3 years, they spend hopefully 10 hours a week together. You know, right now we're 6 to 8 will be fine with us, but hopefully 10 hours a week together, and they go through mini immersion sets, right? So there'll be periods where the number one rule is no English. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. No English.
Oh my God, I'm scared already.
You use hand signals, but you get to prepare beforehand. And so that's what we're trying to do, is they get to live the language, not just
Yeah.
learn the language, but live it. And we want to bring that to Guam.
How would you do that? How would you logistically pull that off?
Well,
Is it a program where people sign up to do something like that?
So we put out a call, and we got a lot of hits already. So all we're going to do is right now we had an overwhelming response of people who want to join
Yeah.
the program as apprentices and as masters. So we're sending out these new application forms now so that they can write a little essay about why they want to learn the language, and from there.
Oh, now you got to select them because there's so
Yes,
many people who
and
want
we
to
only
do
have
it.
5 spots available right now.
Aye, where's the money coming from?
We've
Is there money involved?
There
I
is.
mean,
We've had donors. We've had
I know, but
some
what are
awesome
you paying
donors.
for? What are you paying for exactly?
So we're gonna help compensate the masters for their
Okay.
time. We're also gonna give rewards to the apprentices whenever they reach certain milestones, and at the end, we're hoping to use a chunk of that money to send our apprentices to Luta, to Rhoda, in order to really be in an immersion environment.
Dude, honestly, I mean, couldn't you just send them to Luta and just get it over with? You know, I mean, you could spend a day in my grandmother's kitchen and get the same effect.
So I mean, that's what we're doing. Like
Yeah.
we really want to. So that's it. It's about living the language.
Yeah.
And so it's all about leaving English behind, living the language, and also realizing that immersion is one of the best ways to learn the language, if not the best.
You know, on a grander scale, and I'm sure that you were coveting and jealous because I was, Kamehameha schools.
Interesting.
Dude, I know that Hurrah Academy, bless her heart, Anne-Marie does this terrifically. It's just not a school that's funded for year round. But Kamehameha schools, that is complete immersion. It is, you know, the getting into one of those schools or getting into the system, and you know, being of descent is the perfect way.
Well,
That's a great model.
I don't know if Kamehameha is immersion anymore.
Well,
Yeah.
well, in that you have to be Native Hawaiian with a
Oh, that's
certain
true.
percentage
That's
of
true.
blood, and then everything is centered around the culture. The whole, it's like a performance school.
But it is cool because, you know, outside of Kamehameha, there are various charter schools that
Oh,
have
yeah.
started.
Yeah,
over.
yeah,
One
yeah.
is
Yeah.
Halau Kumana.
Yeah.
And I actually visited their campus, and it's absolutely
No, honestly,
incredible.
well, you know, they have the Bishop Estate. They got the whole Bishop
Oh, yes.
Estate that's backing them,
Funding,
which is
funding,
is
absolutely.
everything. Funding is everything. You're teaching Chamorro over at LBJ and at Tumuling Elementary
Mm-hmm.
School. Are the kids easier to teach? I asked that earlier, but are they easier and more accepted, more receptive to it? And is it difficult to teach children a language where English is their second and Chamorro wouldn't even be on the grade because they speak another language from this region?
Interestingly enough, a lot of my students who are from other islands,
Yeah, the FSM.
Exactly,
Yeah,
they're-
or Palau or Philippines.
they're some of the best. And so, because they're already bilingual. And so neuroscientifically,
their brain is
they're good. I
trained.
mean, when they're that
Oh,
young,
cool. Yeah.
they can speak 3 or 4 languages.
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
They're really, being bilingual is such a huge, like, academic, intellectual, overall life advantage.
Yeah.
That they do really well in my class. They actually
That
know
makes
it really
okay.
well.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Wow.
Now, are they easier to teach? You know, with the exception of the disciplining part, they really enjoy it. You know,
Yeah.
you repeat, they repeat, you repeat, they repeat. You know, and granted that repetition does get repetitive, obviously,
Yeah.
but
Right.
just knowing that you're helping these children
Yeah.
learn tomorrow.
Now, do you have experience with small kids like that? Do you have any brothers and sisters?
I grew up as an only child.
I did.
I do not have
I
any
did.
experience with children.
Okay.
So
you have
this
no
is a
experience
brand
with
new,
children.
brand new experience for me.
Did you have a headache on the first day?
You know, I had a.
It was
I took a
it was a
Motrin.
shock.
I took a
yeah,
Motrin,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
so it went
yeah.
away.
You're young yet. You'll get it. You'll get it. I'm digging those tattoos, by the way.
Oh.
I like that. When were those done?
These were done 2 years ago by the great Phil Sablan over at Palpamono
Oh
Tattoo.
yeah. And
at
your
Chihuahua.
mother said of that.
She actually was okay with this because of what it means to me. I wasn't
Okay.
getting like bikini girls on my arm.
Yeah,
or
that's right.
anything,
But where's
so-
the I love mom? Because if you were an only child of mine, and you were doing all that, you better have an I love mom like behind your earlobe or something. Nothing? Nothing?
Nothing right now.
Okay, you're gonna work on that. Well, we'll have a fundraiser for that. All right, Kenneth Cooper is our guest tonight. We're gonna come back and wrap up our conversation. Come on back. Are you cool? Are you cool?
Yeah.
Yeah, you look good. You look good, and you're acting all right. Were you worried about that? Like you didn't want to be too like.
stern. Or...
You know, be Howard Hemming. Welcome back to Something to Talk About. We're at King's Restaurant tonight, and we're feasting on. Apparently, the grapes are like the big. All the guests like the grapes. I don't know. Maybe it's because you have to like actually put that in your mouth
I
and
truthfully
chew.
don't
And
even know what this is.
it's honeydew.
No, okay.
Really?
No, I
You didn't
don't
eat honeydew when you were growing up?
No.
Okay. But grapes? Cool.
Good.
All right, good. All right. Well, that's all right. We'll talk to your mom about the honeydew part. But anyway, so I asked you during the break what kind of languages you have been exposed to. Hawaiian, one of them.
I try. I'm
Yeah.
still trying.
Okay. I mean, did you want to learn the language, or you thought because you were in the environment that was
My
cool
goal
to?
in life is to speak 5 languages. So.
Really?
yeah.
So what do you know now? Because I kind of really only like Pig Latin and then.
English, Chamorro.
Code with my girlfriends.
A little bit Hawaiian. That's it.
Okay.
I'm like nowhere near.
Are
my
you
goal.
know? What do you want to learn, like French or English?
No, German,
like
because
German.
of my heritage.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, but-
German. That's tough though, isn't German tough?
It's-
Is German tough?
could
Did your
be.
father speak to you in German, or he didn't
No,
really?
my father-
Okay.
my father
I don't know
didn't.
what our parents. They didn't want to speak to us like that for some reason. Yeah.
May that change, right?
Yeah,
May
okay.
that
Let
change.
make that change. Okay. I called you the other day. This is so funny. Let me just go back to the text because it was kind of cute. I was trying to tell him that we were going to be here at King's, and I was trying to explain to him what this was all going to be about. And then when he said, I'm going to come, I said, yay. And then I asked him, how do you say yay? How do you say yay in Chamorro? And you said, I think well, Biba was the closest that you could, was the most.
Yeah, Biba.
Biba's the yay is Biba. You know, Dr. Mike Bavacqua has figured out the whole, that I know you can relate to this, the whole nother new Chamorro, because he has to have conversations with his young children
Yes.
who are exposed to all of the other elements in the world that you cannot escape, like Spider-Man and
Exactly.
going to the movies and, you know, eating fast food at Jack in the Box and that kind of thing. So it's an interesting, it's a whole nother part of the Renaissance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Update the language to your modern environment.
Yeah.
And we all should do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so go tell your mom, thank you, I love you. I'll get a love. And how do you say I'm going to get a tattoo of I love mom? Because Patty Arroyo said, what does that mean? No, I'm not going to do it. See, even I know that when I'm being denied. I got that. Brother man, I love you. Thank you so much, Ken. It was so good to see you. It's so good to see you. Thanks so much for that. New York, by the way, is in the house. Hey, thank you for joining us. We'll see you on the radio. Thank you. Good night. All right. I'm not going to do it. Even I did. That's cute. That's cute. All right.
So much.
No, that's gonna be cute. I think your mom's gonna like that. I didn't know that she moved. Sorry, I shouldn't have said anything about that.